Hello, good afternoon, people. I often watch my videos over again to make sure I didn't misspeak or, in the heat of the moment, give wrong information. So sometimes I do corrections. And one thing I did notice about yesterday's video was that I was very, very angry. And that's okay sometimes. I'm not going to apologize for being angry about people that bite the hand that feeds them. Okay. Now, there was an article a few years ago that Catherine Ironwood made $5 million at Lucky Mojo. Now, you just gonna knock everything down? Shadow, I was as soon as I get on Facebook Live. Okay, listen. Catherine Ironwood, a few years ago, there was an article, and I can find it. I've got receipts for the stuff that I'm talking about. But she made $5 million selling occult supplies. And people keep sending me things, conversations with her that are really disturbing to a certain extent, okay? See, this is my thing. And when I first met her, I found her to be a warm, caring person who seriously I thought cared about my growth as a magical practitioner. Okay. So I'm asking y'all, don't message me and stuff right now while I'm live because it's coming up on the screen. I keep getting email after message about Ironwood. Okay. She comes across as a really caring, decent type of person. And honestly, maybe once upon a time she was. She seemed to be very concerned about preserving this lost art. But the funny thing is about African religions and our magical practices, which this hoodoo is a direct derivative of, is that it never died. So we really don't need people to defend things for us, and that's often what happens with a lot of white allies. They don't know how to be really effective. Now, it would have been a whole lot different if she just kept her mouth shut, okay? It would have been a whole lot different if she just was a constant educator to the community about the things that she researched. What starts all of this is this feeling that this is hers. That's what a lot of people take umbrage about as far as Black people's conjure, and I'm going to call it root work, because that's what I call it, is concerned. They take real umbrage when she wants to sit up and say somebody's stealing something from her. But if you go on her website, I'm going to talk about that website in a minute, you will see formulations that she's gotten from all kinds of people. Why do I know that? Because I went and copy and pasted all of them. Why? Because I wanted to study the ingredients. I wanted to find out what people traditionally used versus the stuff that I am using, versus the stuff that I was taught to use, versus the stuff that's in all of these books. Because, everybody came on the scene, especially white folks, and I'm going to need y'all to quit it. Talking about how your grandmother taught you root work and conjure. Just stop, okay? That was the big thing back 4 or 5 years ago when I first started, that everybody was trying to talk about how their grandma did this and how my grandma did that. If your grandma was white, 9 times out of 10 she didn't. Because if your grandma was Black, 5 times out of 10 she didn't. A lot of us just didn't get the education that we needed. And that's why I try to have as many classes as I can online in a way that helps people that want this knowledge. And I do have people come here to my house. And this is not a shameless plug, okay? This is the reality of people say that they want this type of education. And for a long time, she's been the only person to provide it. So I stepped up to the challenge. Some of my colleagues here in the Ohio Black Witch community have helped me with this challenge. And we will continue to educate people in root magic. And it doesn't matter what race you are, okay? I can only work with my ancestors, and that's what makes it this hoodoo. You can really only work with yours in this particular watered down tradition because it used to be a religion. Okay, it was a religion that was a conglomeration of a lot of West African people who were put together in one place. And really, Haitian voodoo was the base for that, which led to New Orleans voodoo, which is also a valid religion, but it is not this tapestry of tourism that people have done. Now, if you want to go ahead and do that and people want to buy it, that's great. But this is my issue. It is long, Catherine Ironwood has said she's learned from a root worker in Oakland. We don't have this woman's name. We don't know where it is. All we have is her academic records. We know she bought the rights to King Novelty's pictures for all of her logos. We know that she got gifted, and I got the receipts on this, people, the formulations for some of these conjure formulas from Memphis metaphysical hoodoo stores, people who retired and went out of business. Okay, right. My teachers. I could tell you my teachers. My teachers are Dr. Kaeli and Jeff Cullen from the Voodoo Store. And what I did was I watched for 2 years while they researched everything they did. And then they had their own magic of their own families. Okay? I learned from people. Okay? That's why we have ATR lineages. You're going to need to show your papers. See, that's the thing about this whole conjure community. When I first started, a lot of people mistreated me, most of them white, and basically told me I was a fraud and to show my papers. And I'm looking at my hair and my skin and wondering why I have to show you any fucking thing. So understand this. This is all, to me, disenchanting enough, where we're not really, if you want to pick about and discuss authenticity of where somebody's coming from, their background and what they do. And Rich DeTerra and Nine Minds Radio did a very thorough documentary and centered a good portion of that documentary about Catherine Ironwood and her behavior. She has managed to offend, break up relationships, and distance people of all races. That is not a spiritual advisor. A spiritual advisor is somebody who helps you become the best you and live the best life possible. She's known for setting poleros and other priests and priestesses on people who have gotten her ire simply because she has no real magic. She's not a magical being. But now she has managed to piss off even those people. See, that's the thing. You can't bite the hand that feeds you. When you made $5 million off of the magic of all of these people, okay, and a good portion of that magic that you claimed you were preserving comes from African traditional religions. You can't do that. The problem is this ain't the first time this has happened, and unfortunately, I'm not sure if it's going to be the last, where she and other people on the internet can act a fool. Just do everything that is counterproductive to spiritual growth, unity among all of us, okay? I watched what she did to Dr. Keone. Now, people can say whether or not he should have taken a picture of the chicken that he was working with in a cemetery. Okay? I'm not a fan of putting up pictures of my work. But basically, she distanced herself from him so far, so quick. It ain't funny. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about the whys of this whole situation that we're dealing with. How I've been telling people I got receipts. The very people who are angry with her, I told them about years ago. Okay? And the funny thing is let's talk about the fact that, let's remember Harambe, remember the gorilla, where people were more concerned about the gorilla than a black child's life. But if it's somebody else's life, their life is more important. How many times is it that we see white people care more about an animal's life than our lives? Okay? This lion skull that she was discussing was like 100-year-old family heirloom. It was not something somebody went out and cut off a lion's skull. We had an elephant. I don't even know what happened to it. It was freaky as hell. We had an umbrella stand that was an elephant's leg when I was a child. We had taxidermy hanging in our house. I had an eagle that like spread the wingspan between the living room and the dining room hanging over the door. We had ducks. We had heads. People hunted. They were trophies. Is it acceptable now? No. Was it acceptable then? Yes, because people were killing food to eat. And that's what a lot of people do not understand at the base of an ATR. I'm going to tell you, like my mentors told me again, you don't roll up on in most places. They got grocery stores in Haiti, don't get me wrong. But a lot of these people that live far out, they're growing their own food. You don't go to a grocery store, pick up food. You kill your own food. And what do we do when we sit down and pray over our food every day? As Christians, let's talk about Christianity. We pray for our food, and how do we end that, Shadow? In whose name do we end that in?
In the name of God.
In the name of Jesus.
Yeah.
The sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
Every time we eat our food, we sacrifice Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm.
Because we do it in his name. Because he was sacrificed. So every time these people do it, they're doing a sacrifice. They're praying over their food and they're eating the food, okay? And that is why our spirits are fed in the manner in which we were fed, because our spirits were once, for the most part, not always, human. A lot of our spirits were human. And it depends on the God or the spirit that you're feeding. It depends on what your religion tells you to do to feed them. Of course, she's afraid of anybody who would challenge her. So I would encourage anybody, and I'm going to ask around, see if people are interested in doing this, next week to have some type of sale at their conjure stores. Everybody. I don't care if you're black, if you're white. Apollo is real sale. Because she has now once again dismissed one of our religions down to pure fantasy. And if that's the case, if that ain't calling a kettle black, because I'm telling you, like I said before, hoodoo is level 1. It's the gateway drug. Most people who are serious about this life and are serious about this magic will have to go under some form of initiation or spirit protection at some point. It should be essential to your magical practice. I'm not really worried about making non-black people angry about my stance about African traditional religions. They are ancestor-based. If you have African ancestry, then you would be a good fit. Not everyone with African ancestry is going to be allowed to initiate. Okay? And certainly people that don't have, there's too much. What are you doing? She's over here. What kind of powder is that?
That's the bentonite clay.
Oh, bentonite clay. She just fill it, and you should see the little, you're really trying it. She just gonna spill this everywhere. Yeah. All them damn jars. And you put it in that. Anyways, you got, they took away the puppies that her mother didn't want, and he was happy, grew, everything on his property except cigar. Okay, I'll have to read that later. This is way too long, Sharon. I don't know what you're talking about. But the bottom line is when you really are practicing root work, and you believe in what you're doing, because see, and it was funny because this morning Shadow and I were having the conversation about magic, and how we thought that this was going to be, like, make your lives easier. Gotta be way easier than Christianity and all that stuff you gotta do and all that pain you gotta feel, and she's like, but the thing is it's because we service people. It's different when you're not just serving yourself. When you're practicing as a solitary and you're not trying to help people become educated, or you're not trying to provide a product to help people bring magic into their lives, witchcraft can be as simple as you want it to be. Now, I know that my practice has become more complicated simply because of the needs of my clients. It's not something that you come to voluntarily, either you're called. It's not something, I'm a person that likes space. My house is overrun with witchcraft and conjure supplies. And I do kind of wish that I would make things simpler again, but I understand that there is a higher purpose and there is a reason for me. And so for the people that you're buying your spiritual goods from, it's just like this. I can't listen to R. Kelly. Now, when ignition comes on, I find myself, and then I have to catch myself because I'll be, whoa. But I have to catch myself. It's not that it's not good, or if it's not real, because, you know, I'm sure she grows her own herbs. You know, I've been to the property, you know. But the reality of matter is the energy of the people that are creating it. Okay? And no, witching ain't easy. It ain't. It's some next level shit. I to clean my house in a completely different way. I have to make sure people take their shoes off. I gotta light my altars. I have an alarm in my phone because I got CRS, so I can light my altars. That's what froze up the phone yesterday, because I got a lot of stuff going on. But you know, I can't let the commercial aspect of this get in the way of why I'm doing what I'm doing in the first place. And it's not some type of advertisement here. This is what I'm telling you. I don't care if you make your own products, because Lord knows that's why I sell you all the stuff that I'm doing. I'm undergoing a great deal of change here in the Root Room so that I can sell you guys herbs too. Okay. I'm working with a local farmer so that we can get herbs to people who want to make their own magic. I don't care if you grow it yourself. I love talking to people about gardening. I love talking about people about, they want to know where I buy things in bulk because they can't buy it from me. I'll send them where they need to buy something in bulk. This has never been about making money for me. This has been about my ministry. This has been about helping people. The money that I make helps me buy more things for the business. It helps me travel and spread the good news of witchcraft and voodoo, because that's what I live for. But we're talking about the energy of the people that you buy your magical supplies from. You know, you can't bite the hand that feeds you. You can't sit up and accuse people in African traditional religions. Yeah, she says she's been practicing root work since the 60s. And there are plenty of white people in ATRs. So why on earth, you know, the book was written, I think, in the 80s. Why on earth would you not want to initiate? Probably because, you know, the spirits wouldn't have you, you know. And everybody who has, people of color who I've watched defend her over these years, are now seeing what I told them. I'm psychic, damn it. I told you, but it didn't take a psychic to see that somebody who doesn't know how to treat people really shouldn't be the one you're trusting with your magical supplies. Okay? What we have to do is we have to be ethical. You want to put yourself out there for people. The same way that we get upset about 45 when he says horrible things. We have to make any person, especially people who claim that they are our allies, fully accountable for the words that come out of their mouths. So it's one thing. Is that somebody knocking on my door? You know that's a goddamn salesperson. I'm gonna take off my shirt and go peek and see if it's somebody that we don't know. And I'm gonna go out there naked. Okay? She's not gonna let me do this. She's not gonna let me take my shirt off. I'm gonna go out there with my titties swinging. Who is that? Well, then, you know the spirits ring doorbells here 2 or 3 times a day. So, but I keep promising that the next time one of these electricity salespeople or Jehovah's Witnesses show up my door, I'm just going to go to the door topless. And I'm convinced, because I'm almost 48 years old and I got 48-year-old titties, that they will never come back again. Woo, I hate to have my peace destroyed. But, you know, I get these emails from people about her and nasty things, and how she claims to be autistic. And Lord knows, I think that I'm not going to say whether somebody has a mental disability or illness or something, but I will tell you this. I don't see a lot of other autistic people going around and doing and saying the things that she says, and then apologizing for it. So I'm a doubting Thomas. I'm a skeptic. I don't necessarily believe that that is the reason why she's doing what she's doing and saying the things she's saying. I think she has Becky privilege and she simply doesn't know how to fucking act. And because she makes all of this money, she has always felt like it was okay to bully anybody she fucking felt fit. But see, I let her know years ago, you're not going to fuck with me. And by extension, you ain't going to fuck with mine. And Voodoo and Paulo, we're in the same family. You're not going to do that. So I encourage you. I strongly encourage you. Of course, her outbursts are calculated. But it always amazes me because it seems to be like she does this for notoriety, so people keep their name in her mouth. That's why I don't post her name. And so that she knows how Facebook algorithms work too. She was one of the first people to start talking about them. So that more people will come to her. So maybe she will be able to go and get that neo-Nazi type of audience that is so prevalent now in social media. You know, people who don't like us. Because it's clear that from her statements, she doesn't really like us. She's capitalizing off of our history, telling our stories, and selling pseudo supplies that come from African traditional religions. That's where they came from the beginning. And I think she's forgotten where they come from. She hasn't forgotten where she's come from because she don't come from it. But she has most certainly forgotten the origins for the things in which she does, because it's all Americana to her. She'll tell you anything about American history. That's why she was very unaware that plenty of black people knew how to read, and even if they didn't, they knew the stories of the Greeks. So, it bothers me because I don't ever like to start a conversation with a new practitioner in a negative way. And I can't tell you how many times somebody's come to me asking me what I thought about Lucky Mojo. I'm like, well, do you want to know what I think, or do you want to know the reality? You know, she ain't black. For me, that was enough. But, there are people who are not black selling legitimate products. And just like there are some black practitioners who are not selling legitimate products. So that's what you need to look for. So just like I can't listen to R. Kelly, I can't. Especially because the utter depravity of dude. It doesn't matter what his talent is. So her shit could get... Somebody wrote this letter to me about how people got crazy effective results from using her products. Well, let's stop to think about this. If you're a person who believes in the work and her products are legitimate, like legitimately grown and whatever, a lot of your magic has to do with your intention. Yes, there is power in the root, and then there's power of your ancestors. And, even the Christian Bible tells you that God... Does the Bible say that for real? Or is that one of those things they say the Bible says for real, that God protects the babies and the fools? That's just a saying, isn't it? That's not even in the Bible. But Christians do say that. So maybe you might have been a fool from buying from somebody like that. And maybe the gods and the spirits did you a solid anyway. But just like you buy conscientiously, I hate when I have to go into Walmart. And it's always a matter of have. Because they went from, it's just a saying, I've read the Bible to and fro. So that's why I was like, I ain't never seen that in the Bible. Just like suicide being an unforgivable sin. Tell me where you can find that in the Bible.
That's Christianity.
That has nothing to do with Yahweh, Jesus, or
Doesn't
anybody
say
else.
anything about mental illness.
Didn't they say that blasphemy of the Holy Spirit was unforgivable sin? Isn't that in the Bible? And you know what blasphemy of the Holy Spirit is? That's denying the God in you. So, Walmart's horrid. I tried to shop at Target. I tried to shop at Costco. I don't have a Sam's Club membership. I try to shop with people who share my mindset. You can't do that all the time, okay? But you are buying the person too. So know that when you're initiating, it's not good to initiate under a priest or a priestess that doesn't have a good reputation. That's gonna have an impact on you. Okay? So remember where you're trusting your magical products to come from. And everybody starts somewhere. It's a real shame that when you type in hoodoo, that More of us aren't showing up on page 1 of Google. We've had to make a certain amount of adaptations because I never wanted, when I first started, in fact, until the Voodoo Store advertised me, I had a little web page, a little Facebook page, but people would just, I got my referrals from my clients, from my friends, from people who knew me. And that is a traditional way that workers worked. My godmother said there was one in every building. You didn't even have to go down the block back in the day, you know. Your witch, your bruja, your worker, she was sitting right up there in the building waiting for you to come. She's sitting up there all day doing readings, making work, you know, making dolls, making mixtures, making potions, everything. Oils, you name it, baths. You didn't need all of this SEO. You didn't need all this commercialization, but we've got there now. And as you can see, you say your friend committed suicide. Wow. I'm really sorry to hear that. That's another reason why I broke off. That was the final straw with Catherine Ironwood. I did not know, and it had come out years before that, but somebody brought it back out again, that her husband had been a member of this church of euthanasia. And it was a thing that encouraged people to kill themselves or showed them the different ways. In fact, they told the teenagers on some of the texts I read, it was horrifying. You know, it was a whole list, and it's still in like the back archives of her website. Some of the stuff that her husband wrote. Somebody sent me the link. And I'll see if I can find it, because I can post it if they haven't already taken it down. You know, kill yourself if you're a teenager because it will make your parents angry. But I'm going to tell you 2 things. And my cousin is online right now. In 1974, her father killed her mother, and then he killed himself. And in 2015, my daughter took 2 bottles of antidepressants and was in intensive care for 12 days. I'm not down with suicide. I'm not down with anybody that encourages it. I'm not down with anybody that used to encourage it. That is why I stopped talking to Catherine Ironwood, because I refused to talk to her husband about his past transgressions, and I'm not a Christian. So I got to forgive shit. He's a Satanist. I don't understand why he would expect me to. I wouldn't talk to him about what he'd done in his past. I found out a number of things. I found out another worker who had been dogging me out in public was a rapist, and people went public with that, and I left that alone because I didn't have any real known affiliation with this person. But I almost entered into a relationship with this person, not knowing their past. And all of them had this one thing in common, which was Cat. Okay? And so in my last conversations to her, I was like, look, I've got people in my family who have committed suicide. I didn't let her know that at the time my child was suicidal, and has been off and on for a number of years because we got mental illness on both sides of our family. I'm like medicated mental illness on both sides of our family, or self-medication. It's real. It's often spiritual, because I'm going to tell you something right now. Before I became a practitioner, I had a nervous breakdown. It was like a jump start to my life. And then I met the dudes that owned the Voodoo Store after I had the nervous breakdown. I became a photographer, but through becoming a photographer, that's how I got to know them. And that's how I got to be a practitioner, because I had spirits, the spirits who had always been in my home that my family talked about all the time. And my cousin is online, and I need you to back me up on this, because I tell the story of the man in the top hat. And when I told the boys at the Voodoo Store that story, they almost fell out their chairs. So I've had these spirits in my life, my entire life, and my family has suffered, in my opinion, from ignoring them. You will suffer from ignoring your ancestors and your spirits. You will pay for it. You cannot run from it. And that's why I tell anybody who wants to pursue any form of magic, make sure you know what you're getting into. Because 9 times out of 10, if you're just out of the blue, just thrown this, and you don't, and that's another thing, a lot of these white practitioners jumped online and took Kat's course and set up shop and sold her products. Wait a minute, why aren't you making your products? She was angry because I said that the only reason why I'd ever buy any of her products was because I was taking her class. And then I ended up sending all of her products back to her in a box with a dead rose in it because she wanted to get into an argument with my mentor that black people could not have known about Greek mythology. Therefore, roses, red roses, really didn't have an association in hoodoo. And then something about Chinese roses, because she's always trying to put Asian people up in this. And Asian people got their own thing going on that's so next level that, hell, I don't even know if I'm the one to be messing with it. You know, we all have very, very, right, Satanists don't encourage suicide. I have plenty of friends who are Luciferians and who are Satanists. And I don't believe in Satan like Christians believe in it. But what I'm saying is, I don't understand how he would think that I would be compelled to forgive him and not continue to hold him accountable, because I know there had to be some people who committed suicide as a result of what these people were posting. And my soul can't live with that. And several people from AIR walked away. So, I just, I realized I was really angry yesterday. Who encourages suicide? Her husband did. He was with the Church of Euthanasia, probably prior to him ever meeting her. I don't know. All this stuff came up in like 2000, what was that? 2014, I think. And we were accused of, at the voodoo store, of pulling out that information. We didn't. Somebody we knew in Chicago publicized that information, but we had no idea he was going to do that. But it's all there. All you got to do is do a search on the internet. Some of this stuff is on her website still. So, look who you're dealing with, people. Because I don't know. I work with both hands. But my left hand is for justice. It's not always, it's for retribution. It's for things that are right when, sometimes wrong things are the right thing to do. Okay? But think about what you're buying your magic for. Most of my clients come to me because they're in love, or they're having money problems, or they're having family problems, or their spirit is tired, or their spirit is seeking something else, or they just want to live better and be happy. You cannot be a miserable individual and say miserable things to people and treat people cruelly, and be a spiritual worker. That's why our church burned down. I didn't have anything to do with that, but there was a person that I know who sent that energy that way. And, you got this little bitty, it's like 2x2 shack that you call a church, but, churches are nonprofit. You can funnel a lot of things through a church. I don't know if that's something that she did or not. I guess that would be it for somebody to investigate. But the bottom line is, your spirit ain't right, Ironwood. It ain't never been right. Maybe back when you were a hippie and you lived in the communes and you first got into all of this, but somewhere along the way, that money got real good to you. Now, let's think about this, people. In this world where we protest everything that ain't for us, and she has encouraged us boycotting different things racially and stuff like that, she's always been a proponent to be there for us, okay. But you really need to put your money where your mouth is, people. I don't care if you buy from me, okay? That's, I love it when you do. But there are way too many decent, magical practitioners of every single race and background who have something to offer you. My cousin Belladonna and Joseph Alexander Robichaud, they run the Black Craft Emporium. I left that because I'm trying to work on the Temple of Ancestor Veneration, a community service-based organization. Buy your products from people like that. Buy your products from the people that are part of your religions. We can't even keep stores open. We've got Botanicas closing left and right. And y'all are sending $5 million a year to a woman who says that our religions are fantasy. So buy with your conscience. You know, she can stay mad at me. See, I pay my taxes. I got my EIN. I'm straight legit. Okay? I pay my bills. I got receipts for everything. Everything. Because I like, first of all, I don't look good in orange. I know my pajamas look a little orange, but they ain't. I don't look good in orange. I believe in doing right by people. I believe in being honest. When I'm late sending a client an order, I always put a little something extra in it, because even though this stuff is handcrafted, I promise 3 to 7 business days. She takes a month. Order from people who care about your well-being. Every single reading client I have, I remember, and they also know that I care about them, even when they're mad at me after the reading is over. I don't advise clients that they need certain magical services when they don't. The people that I know, the people that I work with, the very people that Catherine Ironwood attacks on a regular basis are often very ethical individuals. Mama Star left air because of the constant shit going on in that camp. Flora Elmore left air as a result of the constant shit that was going on. And so many of us never joined because of it. We don't need an organization to be ethical root workers. We need to have a conscience. We need to have our spirits. And just because somebody works with bones and puts a 100-year-old lion head in a pot, or however it was offered to the spirit, doesn't mean that they're not an ethical person. Doesn't mean that they're killing endangered species. But let's talk about a little bit more tea, and then I'll go. Because somebody else posted, and I shared last night, that she sells lion bones on her website. You see that? She sells lion bones. Pieces of lion. So either somebody lying. So either she's lying and them ain't lion bones, or somebody is a lion in your house. What happened to all these raccoon penises? And I'm going to tell you something. I get my kit out. I bought a bone kit from her. And in that is crocodile paw and raccoon penis bone. So what makes a raccoon's life less valuable than a lion's? What makes an alligator or crocodile's life less valuable than a lion? Because some places, these people eating them lions. That's their food. Just like they eating, when I don't feel bad about them crocodile feet, so they eating that shit down south. You know? People eat coon. I don't want no coon. Okay? So you will never see me trip about the use of bones and magic, because somebody somewhere is eating that. But don't you dare sit up and talk about somebody's religion and call it fake and fantasy, because that's where it got me. She should have stopped short of calling somebody's religion fantasy. I mean, you can talk about alligator. Somebody said, that's some good eating. I've had alligator, crocodiles. I had sausage. But you should have stopped short. There's nothing wrong with advocating for animals. If you don't eat meat and you're an animal lover, you're welcome to your opinion that you don't agree with it. But that doesn't make me say, well, veganism is fake. You're not really committed to animals, when you very much are so. And you live a lifestyle that depicts that. So if veganism is real, then these people's belief in Palo is real, that my belief in voodoo is real, the other people's belief in Santeria, Candomblé, Kumbanda is real. Christianity, Judaism, Islam is real. Real. And should be respected as such. So that's what I'm talking about. You can always talk about y'all really loving this alligator here. Y'all really, you want to talk about practicing what you preach. Every single time she comes out of the pocket and says something about somebody else, including when she was going off about the boys at the voodoo store, we were talking about people who were from Ireland who were indentured servants here. And they were also enslaved here. And it was written about in 1969 in Ebony Magazine by Bennett. Okay? White people weren't the first people talking about how white people were slaves, and they just really couldn't cut it over here. And that's why they went and got African people. Okay? They probably treated them just as bad, but when the black folks showed up, they got to be white. Because you couldn't have all those enslaved people. We were already outnumbering people on the plantations, the white slave owners. So you couldn't have all these people united. My grandmother's first wife was Irish. Okay? At one time, we were right next to each other. And then they gave them the fire department and the police departments and major metropolitan cities so they could be white and distance them from black people, because in order to have a top, you have to have a bottom. And all of this stuff was done quite administratively to control and to keep institutionalized racism from the very beginning. Okay, so it is not without question that white folks and black folks got together and shared things. It's like all of these different countries from Africa got together and made these African traditional religions here in the New World. Okay, so it's not unlikely. People want to argue about the word slave. It's just really, honestly, it's like arguing about whether the word genocide can be used for the Holocaust and slavery. Yes, it can. You get into these arguments of who has suffered more. That is when you run into your biggest problem. But the big difference is Irish people do not deal with the legacy of slavery that we still deal with. It don't matter what happened back then. People are always talking about this happened 200 years ago. Get over it. No, we're not talking about slavery. Black people are not talking about slavery. We're talking about the implications and the legacy of slavery and the impact that it continues to have on us to this day. We ain't talking about shit that happened 200 years ago. Yeah, we can still be mad about that, but I'm mad about what's happening right fucking now. Okay? So let's get that straight. So she went after my mentors a couple of years ago, and I am convinced she sent a Polaro after them. The very people that she says are fake, I'm convinced she did it. People told me she did it. Okay? And even my mentor said, someone's coming for us. He said that about 2 or 3 weeks before we fell out. He's like, I see it. Someone's coming for us. But she turns around and wants to argue about what they're saying in public when they go and dig up the things that she was saying the same things in 2008 and 2011. And we find these things that she said and then show them to her, and all of a sudden she has now flipped the script. That's another thing you want. We all evolve. We all change our spiritual belief systems. Make no doubt about that. When I started practicing, I was a Christian practitioner. It was through my education and learning about where the Bible came from, and a lot of academics were made me realize, because it is a book, so you're going to have to research it as literature, that it was false doctrine, that it was plagiarism. And so I couldn't be a Christian anymore. That didn't mean that Jesus didn't exist. That didn't mean that Yahweh doesn't exist, but they belong to a whole pantheon of gods. And whether you see these gods as all the same with just different names, or being their each individual distinct God figures or deities, I'm not going to argue with you about that point. Okay? Maybe when I'm more comfortable doing so, I will make an assertion about that. But the reality of the matter is, we all come from the same source, and we need to start treating people like they are us. There's a story about a man who keeps going up to paradise, and God the creator keeps sending him back and sending him back and sending him back. And, he's like, wait a minute, I just want to stay here with the rest of the spirits. Why do you keep sending me back? And what the creator said is, you are everybody. Your spirit keeps going back into every single human being that walks this earth. And until you learn that you are everybody and we are all one, you will keep going back. So, but the problem is people can't treat people like they would treat themselves. You want to know why? Because a lot of people hate themselves. So if people hate themselves, you think Trump likes himself? He can't even wear his own hair. You know, you want to talk about folks with weave. This man wears a weave. He puts on tanning lotion to be orange, but he don't like people of color. He's a weird color. We got people all over. You know, sometimes people wear colored contacts as a fashion statement. Sometimes people wear them because they don't like themselves. See, it's not about what you do. I've had blonde hair before. I've never had blue contacts, but it's not because I didn't like myself, because I like myself with a different hair color. But when you stop and you think about human beings in general, most people don't like themselves. They've been programmed by society, racism, sexism, fat phobias, homophobia, to not like who they are, to not embrace their individuality. In fact, Shadow said it earlier. I'm like, why do all these black people join the church? What the hell was wrong with them? Willingly. And just suck up all that doctrine. She said, we were trying to assimilate. We were trying to be like everybody else. We were trying to eat. We were trying to stay below the radar. So the sister that has to relax her hair to keep her job, don't hate on her. She got to eat. But what we really need to do is we need to create an environment where those types of things aren't necessary. Where, and that's why these white men are losing their minds. Remember the things that they're saying. They're saying, hooting and hollering about, you holler and disturbing the neighbors. The things these white men are saying, we are not going to be overlooked. We are not going to be, what did they say? Eliminated or not heard. Okay? Because they assume that we're going to do the same things to them that they did to us. And honestly, I don't have no problem with that. But that's because I'm petty. But for the most part, black people are the most forgiving people in the world. And that's why I want you to remember this. Because it enrages me every time I see a black person talking about they forgive somebody. That white boy went and shot up a church. He shot up a government official. And then folks walked the hell up in there talking about forgiveness. I'd have walked up in there with a bomb. I'd have walked up in there with a shank. I would have walked up in there with a gun. It would have been Mississippi burning all over that fucking place if that was my family. But they talking about forgiveness. So I want y'all to remember, especially you all who are initiated or who love ATRs or who follow these paths or on their way, when you get ready to forgive somebody who insults your religions. Because that's what happens. This is not the first time this woman is acting a goddamn fool. A fool. As a priest or a priestess or a spiritual person, my mambo has taught me, and that's why I was kind of upset because I was really angry yesterday. I've been waiting for this for years, y'all, so y'all gonna have to give it to me. That we have a certain way we have to behave. When you are a leader, you behave like President Obama. You don't behave like President Trump. Okay? So we have this Trump in our midst. And like Trump, for years and years and years and years, consider this your church service this week, honey. This woman has been a bully. Trump, she probably voted for him. They're peas in a pod. Okay? She might say she didn't, but think about it. They're bullies. They say highly inappropriate things that offend people of other races and cultures, while they pimp the very same races and cultures that they're insulting. You tell me. Okay? Right. Lisa's one of my white students. Lisa has never offended me with trying to appropriate black culture. And she just made a very valid point. That they have no sense of cultural identity, so they steal. Okay? And you know what? Like I said, I'm not the hoodoo police. It made me so mad when I first started and people tried to tell me that I didn't have the right to sell these products. Because I didn't know what I was doing. Because I was new. When they really didn't know shit about me. Or how I grew up. And I didn't come and make up the grandma shit. My grandma shit is real. And no, she didn't teach me root work. She told me about talking to dead people. She taught me about astrology and knowing people by their birth signs. So that when you walk in a room, You know exactly who you're dealing with. I can pick an Aries. I can pick a Sag. I can immediately tell who they are in the room. She talked to dead people. My grandmother taught me that talking to dead people was okay. My grandmother taught me that talking to dead people was some shit she did all the time because people in our family kept dying. So don't tell me who I am and who I was. So yeah, I got beef, y'all. And a bitch holds a grudge. I'm not a Christian. I don't have to forgive. And I hold a real grudge. Especially because I work every single day to help people and to help other people who want to be practitioners and help people that want to perform magic or can't perform their own magic and they want me to perform it. Yeah, I got issues with this. And you know me. Y'all know me. I post pictures. I name names. I will drag anyone that comes in, first of all, and tries to insult me and mine and lie on us. And then, on top of that, try to sell our own shit back to us. That's like the police coming on your block and selling you the crack that they picked up in the latest drug bust. And they do it. That's what's going on here, people. So when somebody sells you your history and somebody sells you your past, what are you worth? What is this worth to you? What is your worth? Remember, we should treat people how we treat ourselves. Unfortunately, a lot of us don't like ourselves. A lot of us don't love ourselves. And my battery is low. So your first job, if you want to go down any of these paths, is to learn how to love yourself. Loving your ancestors, where you came from, who you are, the reason why you're here. Learning the history, learning your DNA, learning your background, learning your traditions. Those make you you. People don't understand why the family unit is so important. It doesn't matter if it's two moms, two dads, mom, dad, single mom, single dad. Your family and what they teach you, especially in your formative years and the affection that you were shown, because that makes a very big difference in feeling loved. Hug your children. Even that has been a problem for black people because they used to take our babies. Our mothers, generation after generation after generation, were taught, don't get too attached because they might take your baby. And guess what? That hasn't changed. Don't get too attached because they might take your baby. But that didn't stop me from hugging and kissing my daughter. And I told Shadow last night I went up and kissed her goodnight because she's having a rough week. And I said, I don't hug and kiss my daughter enough. I need to make sure I get out of bed every morning and hug her and kiss her before she walks out of the door. Okay? Show your children affection because that is what's going to teach them to love themselves and to love others. Teach them compassion. Teach them care. Don't teach them bullying. If my daughter bullied somebody, I never really had to beat her ass, like, beat her ass. But let her bully somebody. I will beat that ass. And since she's my height, we'll just fight. But she knows better because she was taught better. Don't buy things from bullies. Don't buy things from people who ain't right in the head. You are not going to get spiritually up here fucking around with people down there. Stop going to the basement. Stop looking for the easy release. Okay? Because this life, witching ain't easy. It's about higher levels of consciousness. It's about things you ain't never thought of before. Every day I find things that I didn't know before that take me to a higher level. It ain't about come to me oil. This is the playground. This is the gateway drug. This is what's going to take you to your next level. Be careful who you buy it from. Okay? So, if you have any questions, you can message me. If you got some more receipts, I file all receipts. But I want you all to realize that this is not the first time she's done this. It won't be the last time. And are we going to be typical Negroes this time? Are we going to be typical Negroes that continue to forgive white people when they misspeak because they were angry? Or are we going to start learning the ways of our people? Our people don't require us to forgive. Our spirits act out grudges. Our spirits seek revenge and justice, don't they? If you want to get to a higher level of consciousness, you're going to have to understand how some of these spirits work. Both good, well, light and dark, because nothing's good or bad. You're going to have to figure that out. Some people aren't ready for certain spirits. My mama was always telling me all the time, you ain't ready for that. You ain't ready for that. I'll get you next time you come back, then we'll do that. Okay? So, you don't want to start off with a whole bunch of bad energy in your midst. Okay? And the only thing, the man she offended, I think, was Candelo Cambasa. And somebody actually sent me an email that he didn't like me. I'm still going to stand up for the brother. But Candelo Cambasa was one of her radio hosts. So was Robert Lucas. She locked him out of his own radio show. You don't let people get power over your creativity either, people. Stop going into business with people. Stop depending on people. Yes, he doesn't not like me. Okay, well, somebody lied. Somebody sent email and said he hated me. Oh, awesome. Well, that's good. You know, if he's listening, hey, he didn't like my mentors, but that's their argument. Okay, there's things I don't like about the way people behave. And I've never lied about telling them that. And because of that, I have to act a certain way. I can't be just sitting up here telling people that they got to behave and they got to treat people with respect and do right by people and get your clients their orders on time and give them real honest products and don't lie about all natural when you're using dyes and stuff and where stuff came from. I went to Hoochie Coochie Land to pick up this. Look. Okay? So, watch where you're getting your stuff from. If you don't like me, don't buy it from me. It's cool. Because the energy of that person's going to go with the stuff that they sell you no matter what. No matter how many hands it goes through. And always cleanse and charge your things when you get home. People always talk about, are your roots charged? I used to say that I prayed over them and all that other stuff. I do speak a word to them as I mix them. But it's up to you to charge your roots. And the roots already have their own spirit. So when I make a mixture, I make sure I don't do it when I'm sick. If it's right hand, mix it with the right hand. I talk to it. How y'all doing? I need y'all to go do this. Or with left hand, I mix it counterclockwise with the left hand. How y'all doing? I need you to fuck this up. But the rest of it, if you're using it, it's on you. Magic is on you. So, yeah, yours witchcraft. Yeah, not a root doctor. Right. Right, exactly. And people qualify their stuff in different ways. Like I said, I just say hoodoo because that's what people say. Well, hoodoo's got some negative connotations now, even on a black side, because I heard about a hoodoo group that doesn't allow homosexuals to attend their events, which is another story for another time. So I'd say I practice root work. I work from the root. I incorporate definitely what I've learned about African American root magic, but I've also incorporated witchcraft and other traditions. But when I send a product to you, it is in the tradition of African American conjure. It follows the doctrine of signatures of that practice, and it's made honestly. And anybody who's ever been here, worked with me, seen what I've done, I'm a lot of things. I ain't perfect. But when it comes to the stuff that I'm making for you and the energy, because my home is blessed, thank all of the spirits. I love being here. People love being here. People don't want to leave. Shadow be like, I got to go home. I'm like, you can go home. I'm not holding you hostage here. Okay? It's so you get me. Okay? That's why it's so important to me to do this right for people. And there are other practitioners out here, Okay? Like Ochani and other practitioners out here who are making products who are doing the same thing. And they're honest and they're real and they're all different races and colors and cultures, and magic is amazing. Eat it up. But don't waste your money on evil. Because most of the time we're not doing magic for evil. And if you are, that's where you start at. Because y'all white folks, y'all be extra. Y'all want to start with goetic spirits. Okay, y'all don't want to start with your ancestors. You just want to go there. And it's funny because when Shadow does something and like does something extra, I say you just had to go with goetic. You just couldn't start with the ancestors. You just had to go to the top. You know, when you start up at the top and you don't learn from the bottom, you're going to make some tragic mistakes. So understand that your magic does have something to do with who you buy it from. Your magic does have something to do with your own personal spirit. The things that you touch carry your energy. And you got to make sure that the people that you are doing business with act accordingly. So that's my public service announcement today. My store, let me see. Who I always blank out on other people's stores because it's a competition. You know, my mentors, the Voodoo store, they do very, very legitimate work. Come on, help me out here. I'm blanking on people that have, like, I think Star Raven, she has a great store. Najeri Cruz has Kambanda items available. Come on, help me here. You know, you all can feel free because, like I said, yeah, there's no competition, but I'm just saying I don't think about other workers. And that's just a testament. I don't think about anybody else's companies when I make my stuff. You know? I don't think about, they're like booster jets. It's like, goetic, woo! Let's go for the gusto. Yes! Infinity and beyond. There's some astral projection on this bitch, and you can't even have a dumb supper. Shit. But, like I said, I don't know a lot of people who do, the work. I mean, I know a lot of them, but come on now, help me out. There's got to be other conjure workers that we can refer them to. Go to the Black Craft Emporium. There's 50,011,000 people you can order from. You know? Or just order from me. Shit, I ain't stupid. But there's a world of people of color who are making these things. And I'm going to be really working to get stuff from Haiti here for our Haitian voodoo saints that live here. And for anybody else that wants Afro Mystic, oh my God, Daisy gonna beat my ass. Yes, Daisy, the Afro Mystic. Come on, y'all, give me the names. I hate to be put on the spot like this, and my battery's about to die. Yes, public gatherings should be inclusive. Anything that doesn't want me because of who I or what I am, I'm not gonna mess with. And that's why I love voodoo. Because you can be gay, straight, trans, whatever works for you. Voodoo loves you. So that's why I love that. I do know the difference between lemongrass, lemon verbena, Van Band. I also know the difference between anise seed and anise star. Remember that conversation we had the other day. So you're buying the person. And there's, oh God, Motown Witch. Come on, y'all. Yes, Yvette Wyatt. Y'all keep putting these people's names below mine. Okay? I've been invited by Izzy McDermott. Oh, Mama Star, for real. You want some good old country, what's considered to be, Mama Star's not white. She got relatives in Gula Geechee Nation. I don't know what you want to call it. You know, but she's just this old school Southern conjurer who was taught by her mama, who was taught by her mama. And Mama Star, I sell her books. You know, there are tons of people out here that sell good quality products. But it's always been my policy as a black person to put my money where my mouth is. Yes, right. You got to put your money in black-owned businesses. And it's not even a matter of a boycott. You know, people have called for boycotts before, but boycotts are, to me, till they act right and do what we tell them to do, till we bully them literally into acting right, then we're not going to buy from them. But if, as soon as they get right again, we're going to buy from them. No, that's not what I'm asking you to do. I'm asking you to carefully consider in the future where you're buying your things from and base it on somebody's public persona and their personal persona, because that also always comes out. The way they carry themselves, the way they treat other workers, the way they treat other people, the way they treat their clients. Those are the things that you're going to have to watch out for, because your magical goods are extremely important. If you believe in this work, you better buy your stuff from people who know how to act. And the minute that they show their ass is the minute you don't need their stuff. Mind you, I spent over $120 when I started to get this stuff for her class. And I sent it all back to her and told her to donate it to charity. And I'm happy that people like my products. Okay. You know, if you study all of the African traditions, that's great. But at some point, you need to focus on one. Often I find that, and it doesn't mean you have to stop there, okay? But you should focus on something. My grandfather used to tell me, learn one thing good, and then move to the next thing. So it's really good, especially as you're working to find your path, Naja, to look at all the different traditions. I recommend that to people, and then you find what resonates with you the most. That the spirits will let you know. You know when you're called. But we're really going to have to stop. And that's the one thing, when I stopped messing around with all these white folks in conjure, my life got a whole lot more peaceful. Every now and then we got somebody black or Latino acting a fool, but you know, for the most part, the people that are creating the biggest problem with our magic probably really weren't supposed to have their hands on it in the first place. So my life has become a lot more calm now that I don't deal with this. But as an ATR worshiper who has said this over and over again, that Catherine Ironwood is not a fan of the ATRs, and she has said constant things that would disparage our religion numerous times, yet black people keep holding her by her imaginary jockstrap and making her a millionaire. Thanks, folks. You know, I could actually do this full time. I could actually probably spend more time online with y'all, quit my job, if black people would buy from black people. Or if even people who practice black people's magic trusted black people to sell it to them. But at the very least, they ain't gotta be black. They just gotta be honorable. But nope, we always want to buy from the person who creates the biggest disturbance. We always want to buy from the rock star. We always want to be with the famous person. Because when people be fangirling me and running up on me at conjure events, it's unnerving. You know, and I've talked to Shadow about that all the time. Everybody likes praise. Everybody likes people to admire them. But I ain't no damn rock star. I ain't nobody's hero. I'm just doing what my ancestors told me to do. And that's what I'm going to keep doing. And I would like to believe that I am magical. I believe we all are. I believe every single one of us that walks around, that's that spirit that animates us. That literally creates our soul. Our soul is a combination of our spirit and our physical body. And I believe that all of us have that in us. That's why I sell this stuff to you. While I'm doing your magic, you do your magic. Now, there are some things that ordinary people who aren't trained in certain things can't do. I'm working on that as well. But we really need to shop with our conscience. And we should reward people who act like they have some sense. We should reward people who honor our history, our practices, and our religions, especially when they're selling us products that are derivatives of those. You know. So, yeah. It's nice. And I know you're looking up to me. I know that. And that's why I got to act a certain way. Y'all don't know this. I'm petty. You know it. Sometimes I'm lazy. Won't want to do a damn thing. I get angry. I get uninspired. I suffer from clinical depression. I take medication every day of my life. Does that make me less in touch with my spirits? No. Makes me an advocate for mental health and spirituality. So I understand that, oh, I'm petty. You know I've been waiting for this for years. Stop playing, no, Shani. I'm petty. I'm a human being. But I promise you that I will be the best human being that I know how to be. And that I am going to demand that people who are involved in these religions do the same thing. You know, we should know. We cannot open people. You know how many people have been victimized by bad people and magic? You know, that's why they claim they created air. So people would act ethically. Why you need an association for that? You're supposed to go by word of mouth. You're supposed to go by reputation. You're supposed to go by lineage. Who does that person answer to? But see, the problem with her is she don't answer to nobody. Nobody. And that's why she feels free to do all the things she does to people. And I'm going to stand up for it. And I'm not going to have it. And a lot of people in the ATR community, we're not going to have it. We're just not. I think that this will probably, unless some stupid shit happens, it'll be the last video where I talk about her, because I'm hoping that you all will take this, share it with your friends, make other people who do this work, give them a piece of that $5 million pie. I don't care who you refer them to. You don't got to refer them to me. This ain't no infomercial. But we are no longer, just like if anybody mistreated us as black people, we always come out, be off Facebook, make your pictures black for a day, social media blackout. I remember they had a boycott Black Friday, talking about they want to start with Target. Target? The most inclusive ass department store? Who thinks of these things? Let your protest have a purpose. Don't buy your magical goods from people who insult your ancestors. Don't buy magical goods from people who are bullies. Don't buy magical goods from people who are inherently evil. Okay? Somehow, some way, without an association, we have to start making people ethically responsible for what they do with people's spiritual lives. And just like we hold the church, Eddie Long came out, everybody wanted to judge him, rightfully so, freak. Hope those are the days where you wish for a hell. I just wonder if, like, what part of the earth he's roaming, you know, because ain't no place for him. But we judged him. We sure judged him. Judge people. I judge. You know? And they said, if you judge people, you're really judging yourself. And that is true. That is definitely true. So if you're asking somebody else to saying that somebody's doing something wrong, you can't turn around and do the same thing yourself. You can't turn around and then be wrong. You know, there's a lot of disparaging comments I can make about her, but I'm just going to keep it at the truth. I'm not going to be nasty or evil. Yeah, he roaming all over the church, possessing other people with the spirit of all kinds of fuckery. Okay? Diet Coke of evil. Okay? Is Diet Coke of evil? But needless to say, we are here. Hey, I don't even believe in good and evil. I believe in what's necessary. And that you shouldn't do your magic to improve your life at the expense of somebody else. But by all means, get yours, boo-boo. Okay, now you got to step on somebody. They better be a cockroach. They better be a really low-down somebody if you got to step on somebody on your way up. And that's when doing wrong things becomes right. But you have an obligation, and when these people come in these groups and they start talking about where to buy their magical supplies and her name is the first thing on their lips, folks do go in, but nobody explains why. And I think that is what needs to happen now. We need to, yes, you cannot be a spiritual practitioner if you don't have any self-discipline, self-control. You can't control your mouth. Because even though I was angry yesterday, I meant every single thing I said. No lies. Show me the lie. Just like I'm telling y'all today. But I ain't got all day to devote to her. And people like her. Okay? And so, what I'm going to do is, as I did before, I've done this. I reposted something from 2014 where I tried to tell y'all about this woman. And I'm done. So let's not be typical Negroes, all right? Let's not go back and forgive people just because they say they're sorry. Because she's like that. You remember them badass kids at school that probably had some type of learning disability or mental illness and nobody ever did anything for them? The one that, you know, they used to have them sitting up next to the teacher at the desk. They used to do that black kids a lot. I watched them ruin a boy like that. I tried to tell his mama, and she wasn't trying to hear what I was saying. But this is like that kid who keeps misbehaving. And they keep saying they're misunderstood. Or making some other type of excuse for them. Or he's funny. You know, he's not bad. He's funny. Or, you know, she's nice. She does things for us. What's she doing other than taking your money? Because I remember Mama Star asked her, when's the last time you been to the hood? When's the last time you sat with a black family in the hospital? When's the last time you marched for our civil rights? At the very least, can you show us the receipts that you put your money where your mouth is since you made $5 million off of us and our magic? What's your charitable donations? Let's see those. I saw a whole lot of silver and turquoise and sapphires and stuff when I was there. And a very lovely property. But what about your contributions to Black Lives Matter? Have you sent them a check? Because even if you're too old to march, have you sent them some money? These are the things we're going to have to... Every month, I send money to Haiti. It may not be much, but every month I do. So, you know, look at people, how they behave, before you spend your money with them. And I don't care what kind of money you're talking about. If it's your magical money, your food money, I didn't go see Wonder Woman. Because the woman... was in Wonder Woman was an Israeli soldier who fought Palestinians. I love sci-fi and action figure movies. I didn't go. So you have to make that decision. You have to do what's right with your conscience. But you know, personally, it didn't take me as long as it's taken some other people. These constant apologies for insulting our people and our culture while you pimp us at the same time. When does when the boy cries wolf get to be too much and people just don't listen anymore? Okay? So, read my page. You'll see what happened. This is not unusual. Okay? This is not something that someone just said. This is a pattern of behavior that has continued over years and should be dealt with accordingly. You don't have to do anything bad to somebody to take a stand. Do what's right to take a stand. Have a good day, people.